right, folks, welcome to No Cap Space. Andrew Hobner, Tyler DeLuca, Greer Gonga here with you. And of course, the star of this interview, Talia von Oelhoffen, point guard for Oregon State. Talia, I want to start here because I can't imagine a better weekend of basketball than beating number 3 and beating number 16 in two different ways. For your money, is that the best weekend of basketball and the most enjoyable weekend of basketball you've ever had playing?
For sure. Yeah. It's not even close. I think going into it, obviously they're ranked higher than us, but I think our mindset is just that we can compete with anyone. And when we're playing out our potential and at our best, we think we can beat anyone. So we didn't feel like the underdogs going into it. And everyone played super well, firing on all cylinders. Everyone stepped up. So it's just super fun. Couldn't ask for a better performance, 1 through 13.
What's the win you'd rather? Would you rather like the gritty, tight, tense win where like it's just good on good competing, or would you rather a win like this the Utah game where you're kind of in beat that ass mode from the very beginning and everything's going in and everyone's just vibing? Like, what's your favorite type of win?
Yeah, I think before this weekend, I might have said, those close, gritty ones where you kind of have to scrap it out and it's a war, but it feels really good after the game. But after Sunday, man, I mean, we're up 30 and we're just having a good time. Everyone's hitting shots. And I almost didn't realize how much we were up by until, like every once in a while I look up and be like, dang, like, okay, and then the lead just kept going and I would look up and be like, damn, okay. And it's just fun. So I think I'll say that Sunday one, it was just dominant and we kept the energy throughout. And I feel like we played like we were behind the whole time. And that was kind of what I said at halftime and in all the huddles. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's 0-0 right now, like foot on the gas, foot on the gas. Like I was telling them, let's win by 40. Like, why not? So it was just super fun. So I would say that one.
Yeah. You guys are undefeated at Gill this season. Gill is it's like one of the last vestiges of like what it really is like to be in a college sports environment. What is it about the building this year, last year of the Pac-12? Like, what's rocking in Gill this season that's got you guys just playing out of your minds at home?
Yeah, I think Beaver Nation has just stood behind us, and for me, felt the support from them winning 4 games in the Pac-12 last year and however many we won my freshman year. I mean, it hasn't been the standard. It hasn't been great years for us. We lost a lot of games, lost a lot of close ones. But that support has been so consistent. And I feel like the fans just, hung in there and stayed with us. And so to see us kind of coming back out on top and in the national conversation, it's just super rewarding. And, they've kind of been through it as much as we have with us. So I think they just keep showing up and we keep working for them and we're just getting better and better. And so I think they're just rocking with us. And Scott said after the game, Gil is filling, and he's been saying that, just looking up, we're getting higher every game. So obviously the goal is to sell it out against the LAs or against the Bay Area. So it's just super fun and we have the best fans in the nation. And, that's a big part of why it's so hard to play here.
You mentioned those other seasons that you've had in the past. Obviously, this has kind of been a slow burn type of build as season by season. Obviously, the roster looks different now, but in your eyes, kind of thinking back to those seasons, you come in early, you spend these times, you kind of take your lumps a little bit, and now you have a weekend or a week like this where you have those type of wins. Where do you kind of see in general with this program the most growth going from those points in those seasons to now having weekends like this?
Yeah, I think this weekend it felt super rewarding. I mean, it's been a tough couple years. I mean, you go through your freshman year, no matter where you're at, freshman year is hard. And then for me, I was like, hey, freshman year's over, we're going into sophomore year, and then sophomore year couldn't have been harder. So it's just like I've just stayed down, put my head down, and it's been a grind to get where we're at. So it feels rewarding, and it feels like all my hard work and commitment over the last 2 years kind of paid off, but also I'm still super hungry and we're not satisfied. And I don't think we're anywhere near the ceiling for this team. So it's just extra motivation to keep it going. And obviously we want the Pac-12 championship. We want to make a deep run. And so that's what we're working towards. So it definitely feels good, but we're ready for the next step.
I remember when you first arrived, you came in early, got out of high school early to join up with the team. And I talked to Scott this week, and one of the things that he said was, COVID took away a lot of the foundational pieces that make the family aspect of the program family. What things in the last couple of years is like the Northwest has kind of gotten out of like the heavy lockdown stuff? Is it team dinners? Is it just being out around town? Like, what are the things that have come back that weren't there your first year or first half of the second year, where it's like, okay, this is the family type of thing that I was recruited with, that I signed up for when I first came here?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, just getting to be around each other more. And then especially that first year, it was hard. Just kind of, I lived by myself in the dorm, so I moved in like halfway through the year. I didn't know anybody, no one was on campus, so it's kind of like a ghost town. And it was my first time being away from my family, and I was just thrown into a dorm by myself, and I literally would not interact with a human. And then I'd go to practice, and then I'd just go back to my room, and that was kind of how it was. And so that's just hard mentally. And I think we're social creatures, like we need that interaction. And so getting students back on campus, and even going into that next year, I mean, I had to quarantine in January for 5 days. We didn't play a basketball game for a month my freshman year. And that was the year after COVID, technically. I mean, it was still COVID, but
Right.
not the COVID year. And so just everything, just getting back to normal, and getting fans back and feeling the support of Beaver Nation, and then just getting the normal college experience of everyone, all the students walking around, and just, I don't know, little things that make a big difference. And so, yeah, it's been great. I feel like this is really the first year where I feel like we've kind of recovered from that. Not just basketball wise, but just like life. Feels like things are kind of getting back to how they were. So yeah, I think, like Scott always says, it kind of took away a bit of the family and community aspects. And so it's been super important to get that back.
Yeah, you mentioned your family, like with the team there. I guess off the court as well. Your family as a whole is super interesting to me, because it's a sports family, like through and through. It really can't get much more sports family than yours. Obviously, your mom a 4-year starter playing basketball at Hawaii. Your dad a longtime NFL player. Kind of just take me through, from a personal perspective, as you growing up in a household like that. What kind of takeaways do you feel like built you for the success that you're now seeing now as a Division I women's basketball player?
Yeah, I think I get asked a lot, or especially growing up, about my dad and how long he played in the NFL. But my mom was like the athlete of the family. She had Division I offers in 4 different sports coming out of high school. Like, she could have gone anywhere for anything.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's crazy. 4 different sports is nuts.
Like, she's like 5'7", 5'8".
Ah,
That's
and
insane.
she was grabbing the rim in high school. Like, she's
who's like that?
She had the bunnies. She
Oh,
had the bunnies.
okay.
Yeah, bunny. So, yeah, I mean, that on top of just like, we're just competitive people. So growing up, like, whether it was playing board games or tic-tac-toe, like whatever it is, like, it's head to head, it's competitive. So it's kind of just how I was raised, and grew up playing a lot of different sports. So I always knew it would be basketball, but I had a lot of fun playing all the different sports. And I have older sisters too, so it was just always super competitive, and the standard in sports was always super high. And they kind of instilled that in myself, to where it got to the point where my expectations were almost higher than theirs. And so I think just growing up around that is what has pushed me, and helped me to work and just stay committed to what I'm doing and to my craft.
What's something non-sports related that you're super competitive about? I find that athletes like of your caliber, like it extends beyond the basketball court or like your true place of domain. But like, what's like, are you trying to be the fastest reader in a book club? What's something that Talia competes at no matter what?
I think I don't know if this counts, but the first thing I thought of was like card games. Like, if you get me like cards in my hand, like, I'm ruthless. No matter what it is. My family plays speed a lot, and I started playing it last year, like here in college. And like, I will make you play me like all day. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But honestly, anything, especially when we have like team dinners or sometimes when we have recruits, like I gotta dial it back a little bit.
You gonna scare them off with the card
we'll play
games?
games with them, and I'm like, all right. Sometimes they think it's fun to be competitive, but sometimes like, okay, Talia, chill out. Like we want to come here. But yeah, I think a lot of us are like that in this program. I think that's just part of being an athlete. So it's just super fun.
I'm never playing Monopoly with you then. You're gonna bankrupt me on Mediterranean Avenue, man. I also feel that my fiance and we do Uno, and Uno.
Oh yeah.
Uno's ruthless, like in nature. So if you're competitive with
Yeah.
Uno, it's
And Uno's like a regional thing too, right? Like depending on where you're from, like play differently. So playing Uno in mixed company can go badly.
Are you
Yeah.
are you an Uno player, Talia, where like if you lose a game of Uno on some absolute BS, like they hit you with the +2/+2, like are you the one like my fiance who's like, I'm not playing anymore, like I'm done, that's bullshit? Or are you like me where it's
No,
like,
I'm like, run it
2 out of
back.
3,
Run it
like
back.
we're running it back.
Yeah, put it back. Like, what are we doing? For sure. That's what I was alluding to. Like, if you beat me like in speed or whatever it is, I'm like, okay, like 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5. Like, we're just gonna keep I'm not losing. It's a series.
Do you think that's what kept you there? Like, I know a lot of like the portaling stuff happened, and you and AJ were like the first ones to say and announce like we're here, like we're staying, we're gonna see this through. Like, do you think that kind of fed that a little of, yes, the standard is the standard and the program has kind of gone off of that, but like I'm here, and so I'm gonna be the one to get us back up there.
Yeah, I think just I didn't come here to have things handed to me, and I think that coming into such a well-established program, been to a Final Four, been to however many Elite Eights, all those tournament runs in a row, I think it'd be easy to come in and just like expect that and just think that that's just going to happen. Like that's who Oregon State is. And I think a little part of me like thought that, I think just subconsciously like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Oregon State and like we are going to be an Elite Eight team. But that wasn't, just with COVID and the way that things happened, that wasn't how it was, and kind of got set back a little bit. But for me, it's just like, well, then that's my job to rebuild it. And so I don't know, that's just who I am. And I think that it got a little bit twisted as disrespect to people that transferred in. I'm all for people doing what's best for them, and obviously they were my teammates, and I am super happy for them, and I want them to go where they're happy and they can succeed, because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what the decision is. And so it's all love there. But yeah, that's just what I wanted, was to stay here and rebuild it. And so I feel like that's kind of what we're doing. And AJ as well. We kind of got emotional after that Utah game, because I'm like, man, we started from the bottom. Like we were in the trenches for real. Like we stayed and we worked. Yeah. And we just kept our heads down and worked. And just the two of us been through a lot here. And so it's just super cool to see everything coming together and to see how much this team works and loves each other. And it's just been a really good year. And so I'm excited to keep it rolling.
What is it about your bond with AJ that's so special, that, you guys obviously are like the two that stayed the course, and, Scott says that a lot, is, the thing he tells himself in the mirror is stay the course. To have someone to do that with you, as a player, that's not all on your shoulders. I mean, what does that mean to you that she's doing that alongside you?
Yeah, it means the world. I mean, AJ is just such an amazing teammate, an amazing person. And she's just a light in every room that she walks into. And so I think just the bond that you build when you are in those dark times with someone. And I think at one point last year we lost 9 games in a row, all by less than 5. And man, if that's not just like hit after hit after hit, and that's tough mentally. And like I said, you build relationships in the trenches for sure. And so it's funny this year just to reminisce on things and be like, hey AJ, remember when like blah blah blah, or like whatever. Especially after Arizona and maybe Cal and like close games that we've had this year, just to be like, man, we would not have won that game last year. Like would not have won that game my freshman year. So I think it just shows how much we both have grown and how far we've come, and we've really just stuck it out and been there for each other. And so I'm super proud of her, and I think that's just super special, and it's all coming together for us. So I'm just super happy.
I got one more, and then I'm gonna give it over to you guys, because what you said about the portal, about having some of the aftermath of that be maybe a little misrepresented. Like, is that hard as a player? Both ways, I'd imagine, right? Where if you transfer out, like, people that don't know the situation can read it one way or the other. If you stay, people can read it one way or the other. Like, how hard is that as a player, maintaining relationships with your teammates, those who have stayed and those who have gone, to not let things kind of get twisted like that when there's all sorts of people like us out in the public sphere that might draw all sorts of different conclusions from what jumping in the portal or not jumping in the portal might be?
Yeah, I think it's super tough. Everyone has their reasons for leaving, and in my opinion, they're always valid. And at the end of the day, it's your decision. You're a grown up. And if you think that things are going to be better somewhere else, or you'll be happier, or whatever it is. And sometimes I think the thing that gets misrepresented is that it's not always about basketball. Like, it's really not. And so I think that's frustrating, because it's easy to see someone transfer and be like, say, oh, she wasn't playing enough, or she didn't like her coach, or she didn't like, it's not, most of the time it's not that, honestly. And so yeah, it's hard, but I think as long as you're communicating with that person, and that's why I put the statement out, is because I was just tired of hearing false things about myself. So I was like, let me just clear the air real quick. But that was no disrespect to anyone that's left or anything like that. I mean, I'm happy for you. We're going to keep it pushing here. I'm going to build this here. But yeah, I think we just need to stop hating on people doing what's best for them. And I think people make the decision that they feel is right for them. And I think we just need to respect that and not speculate. Because at the end of the day, it's their decision, it's their life, and you're not entitled really to an opinion on that. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
I like it.
Makes
This
sense
is
to me.
bar.
Yeah, that all adds up to me. I did want to ask, obviously you talked about getting out the mud in the early years, and now you're seeing the success here and kind of being able to take that in a little bit. But I saw you put a tweet out talking about, when are we going to stop calling these wins upsets? And I think that, and I think it's fair to say, because I know from my perspective, not as a voter or anything in the rankings, but it's like, why is Oregon State not ranked, or why are they like from my perspective? So I want to, interesting from your perspective of how are you guys kind of handling the noise or lack thereof for you guys? Because for me, it's been way too silent about the success that y'all are having, and now it's kind of starting to build up a little bit. So I'm just kind of interested on your thoughts on how you individually and this team are handling the noise or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think for me, I just joke around on Twitter. It was just
no, I get it. Believe me, I understand that.
I'm sure you know this, but yeah, I think we're not worried too much about it, and I honestly don't really care that much. I kind of just thought it was funny because it just said upset really big, and we won by 30. So I was kind of just making a joke about it, but yeah, I think that I mean, I understand where we are in the rankings. Not a crazy preseason schedule, not the toughest schedule. So I get that we've kind of had to earn it, and I think that this weekend we really sent a message and kind of put ourselves in that conversation. But I think now just getting it done on the road. Obviously, our 3 losses are to top 10 or 15 teams, all on the road, early in conference season. So I think, our resume is good, but we're not worried about it. Obviously, you want to keep building and get a good seed going into the tournament. So that's kind of what we're working for, but we don't talk too much about it. I mean, we know how good we are. We know that we can compete with anyone. And so it's just every day we're just focused on staying there and maintaining that and reaching new levels. We talked in film yesterday. Scott kind of brought up, I mean, obviously we played so well on Sunday, like in every way, like that was an amazing game. And he was like, how do we get better? Like really. And it was silent for a second. He was like, how do we play better than that? And there was a moment of silence for sure.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, what else you want from us? Like,
I mean, we we shot like 70%, you know what I mean? So, but then, you know, it's taking care of the ball. It's getting it down on the road, you know, it's just staying consistent for 4 quarters. Cause that fourth quarter, you know, some of us, there was times where like 2 of us were in a zone and 3 of us were in Miami. We kind of fell apart because it was just like a crazy situation. So, I mean, just taking those games, and obviously we did play super well, but just building off of that. And it's one thing we talked a lot about too. It's one thing to get there, playing at that level, but it's another thing to stay there. And I think this team has done a really good job responding to adversity. And that's like one of the biggest things with this group. I think it's just the way we respond. And so I think with the level that we're at now, you know, things are going to happen. We're going to get down. There's going to be adversity. And so it's just staying locked in and responding to that and continuing to just get better. And so that's what we're focused on every day. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you touched on your relationship with AJ earlier, but there's some other girls on your team or young women on your team that are incredible players also. I can think of Reagan Beers, right? Reigning Pac-12 freshman of the year, Tamia. But I also saw that you tweeted about your freshman, Donovan Hunter, and the impact that she's having right now on your team. She's also one of the most talented freshmen in the country. Can you talk about how she's just like seamlessly stepped in and is already contributing at such a high level for your basketball team?
Yeah, she's amazing. She's just so steady. And I think Scott said this in a presser, but one of our weaknesses the past couple of weeks was just our one scoring, and they have a lot on their shoulders having to run the show for us and have usually the tough assignment of picking up the ball on defense. And so I think there was a lot of times where they weren't being guarded like all the way at the 3-point line, or they're going under screens. And so that was kind of shown as a weakness. And this past weekend, Donovan just stepped up. I think it was the first possession against Colorado, she hit a pull-up because they went under that screen. And I think that just sent a message and set the tone for the weekend. And she really stepped up scoring, I think career highs both nights. And that's what we needed. That's one of the things we were missing was just that volume scoring from our one. And Kennedy's super capable as well, but Donovan just identifies as a defender, and she's been doing an amazing job at that. So her adding, stepping up and scoring, and then continuing to take care of the ball and run our offense. I mean, I don't know if she could have played better these last 2 games. And so I think she's just an amazing character, and the way that she responds to adversity as a freshman and how composed she is, I think is just super impressive. And so I think everyone's only seeing her scratch the surface of how good she could be and her potential. And so I'm super proud of her, and she played big for us and is going to be a really big piece going forward.
I feel like that's okay. Go, girl.
Sorry, yeah, you're a leader on this team now. You know, you're an upperclassman. I mean, you're always a leader from a talent perspective, but you know, the role is really on the upperclassmen. So how would you describe your leadership style? Right, this is a team that doesn't have any seniors. So you are, you know, the juniors are the leaders on this team. So how are you guys like doing it by committee, and how are you doing it and taking that ownership role this year?
Yeah, I think I've had to be a leader every year just because of the way that you know, people leaving, and last year, my sophomore year, I was the most experienced on our team, like in this program in terms of minutes at least, or games played. And so I think just having that experience and honestly not doing a good job my first 2 years of being a leader has really like prepared me for this. And so I think just this year, I've really made it an emphasis and really just locked in on it, just being that voice on the team and trying to be steady and be the example. And I think, especially defensively in the last couple of weeks, I've really stepped into that role. I think we're missing like a defensive leader and just someone to quarterback and communicate. And I think especially having been in this program so long, I think just the mental side of the games and just knowing the little strategies and X's and O's and being able to communicate that on both ends of the floor helps for sure. So I think, yeah, just saying the right things in the right moments and getting everyone together, you know, before practice, making sure everyone's minds are where they need to be, and then during the game, you know, in the huddles, during free throws, in the timeouts, just making sure I'm always saying things that need to be said and checking in on people, making sure everyone's doing okay and everyone's minds where they need to be. I think that's a big part of it. And then just always being positive energy and someone that my teammates can count on and trust and come to. And so obviously not perfect, but I think I'm really embracing that role this year. And AJ as well does a great job, and Tamia and Ray in their own ways, even though they're sophomores, their voices on the team as well. So I think that one thing about this group though is that it can be anyone on any given night. Even the freshmen, you know, it doesn't matter. All of us kind of have a voice and take on leadership roles in different moments when we need to. And I think that's one of the most unique things about this group and what makes us so special is that it can be anyone. Everyone steps up and everyone sees themselves as a leader. And so I think that's just as important.
So I got two questions on your assistant coaches because, you know, they are you guys, for lack of a better term, in Devin and Aaliyah. Like, they've been here, they know the standard, and now they're, you know, on the bench. How has your leadership journey been aided by two people that were leaders for this very team, in this very facility, on this very floor at one point in their playing careers? And also, is it kind of helpful having assistants that, you know, if they wanted to, like, they could still pick up a ball and maybe bust someone's ass in 5-on-5, like, if they really wanted to? Like, I feel like Aaliyah's still got some game in her at this age. Like, is it nice to have that where you're like, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I know you could probably do this too, so I'm gonna make sure I listen.
Yeah, I think last year Devin had to get out there with us a little bit. There was one point where we only had 6 or 7 healthy players last year. That was a lot of the year, honestly. We didn't have a lot of people available for practice. So Devin definitely jumped in and still got it for sure. I'm waiting for Aaliyah to jump in. We haven't needed her yet. We're 13 deep this year, and we got the scout guys. But no, obviously having played with Aaliyah, I think that senior year where I came in, that was the best example of leadership I've ever been around. And so just that full circle of her coming back and how important she's been to the program and how well she knows it from a player perspective has been super cool. And she's kind of taken on the role of the point guards and just coaching them, and is really tight with those 3. And I think she's done a really good job of that. Obviously, 2 of them are freshmen playing, you know, the point guard position where you kind of have to know everything better than anyone. And so she's taken on that role of coaching them and is in the film room a lot with them and puts her heart and soul into it. And I think how well the freshmen are able to play at that position is reflective of the job that Aaliyah is doing, and Scott as well, of course. But I think Aaliyah just takes that really seriously and does a great job of that. And yeah, I think it was yesterday, her and Adley and Lily were joking about their 3-point percentages, and Aaliyah's telling them, well, I shot 49% my senior year. we hear about that a lot. So obviously she was a great player, and if she wanted to, could hop in with us, I'm sure. But still waiting on that.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned like coach said this, coach said that, like at different points throughout this interview. Just in general, the culture that's been established at Oregon State here, what do you feel like about it is now allowed you to have this success and get through those tough times and make it to these kind of mountaintops and heights that you're seeing now?
Yeah, I think just belief in my teammates and Scott and in the program and myself and just in everything. Just seeing our potential as a group and just working to reach that, and just being encouraging and coaches, you know, encouraging me throughout that whole thing. And I think just the culture that we've established, I think our sophomore group, those 5 coming in, that 5 is kind of a big class. So they're like half our team last year. And so all in the dorms together, and they got super close. I think kind of started it and led into why this group this year is so special, because I think those 5 really have that bond, and then it kind of just spreads throughout the team. And so we're all super close and we're all best friends, and that makes it really easy, to do the rest when it comes to stepping on the court. So I think that's been a huge part of it in rebuilding the culture. It's just how much we love each other, how much we lean on each other and trust each other. And, when you enjoy the people you're around every day, and that makes it just so much easier to come in and get the job done.
Yeah. Hey, y'all
All
getting
right.
it done now.
Yeah.
The job's getting done.
Jobs getting done. So like we mentioned kind of all throughout this, like the Pac-12 is winding down. And so I got a couple questions for you. Where on the road are you going to miss playing the most? And we've interviewed quite a few women of the Pac-12, and everyone so far has gone on record kind of giving us, I want to know who's the best trash talker on the Oregon State women's team, and who's the best opposing trash talker in the conference.
Okay.
You can miss playing the most. Go ahead first.
The most trash talk?
Or
The
what
Pac-12.
place are you gonna miss the most?
Oh, okay. Probably just playing at the Washington schools. Just because, close to home, and
Yeah.
I get a lot of people coming to those, I would say. And then trash talking. I don't know. Our team doesn't trash talk a lot. I think I usually don't.
Ooh, dude, you strike me as the best trash talker.
Yeah.
You said, "Oh, you got me. You got me."
Yeah. I feel like this year,
Yeah,
You're
there
telling on
it is.
yourself, Talia.
There it
You're
is.
telling on yourself.
There it is.
I think my first 2 years, I'm not someone that just talks just to talk. Like I feel like my first 2 years, or maybe I'll say last year, when you're losing as much as we were, I don't got a lot to say. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I said anything last year, but over the weekend it kind of came out of me. I feel like
There
I'm
it
getting
is.
that
There it
edge
is.
back a little bit, and I think that's just becoming. I trash talked in high school for sure, so I think that's just becoming part of who I am again. I said some things on Friday for sure.
You said put
You're
the
the youngest too, right?
We're
in your
back up.
family?
Yeah, I'm the youngest in my family.
Definitely talk trash like that.
A
One of
little
the
bit,
biggest traits.
It kind of just in the moment, it's just whatever I'm feeling. I don't always, but I think, yeah, especially when I need someone to miss free throws at the end of that Colorado game, I needed them to miss some free throws, so I said something. But I think I don't talk trash unless I really respect you, and so I think I said a couple things to Sherrod, but I mean she's just a dog. Like she is incredible, just in every way. And so I don't say things to someone unless I respect you a lot, and you're a great player. So I will say that though, if I'm saying something to you, it means you're doing something right.
So best in the conference, we've had one player that overwhelmingly gets the votes for biggest trash talker in the pack. Who do you think it is?
See, though, if I'm wrong, though, it's just
No, it's okay, because at that point, then that's just your answer. It's okay. Listen, I'm telling you, it's we've had one solid answer across the board. We've had, I think, 3 Pac-12 players tell us this. So I'm interested in who you might think it would be.
Does she go to Stanford?
Yeah. Yes, she does.
That's all I'm gonna say on that.
If it makes you feel better, Kiki gave it up.
Yes,
as
Kiki
well.
said the same thing.
Kiki put her own teammate out there.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just trash talk though. I think it's just her energy is so, it's she doesn't even have to say anything and she feel like it's trash talk. But that's one of the things. That's one of the things that makes her so good, is that she's always in that mode, and Stanford kills people sometimes. And she's always like that. Every minute that she's in. And that's why she's player of the year. That's why she's as good as she is. So when you're doing what she's doing, talk it up. Honestly, do your thing.
You got any before we let you go, you got any Super Bowl plans since your dad's been to one before?
Super Bowl play. I think we play. So
I
have to
saw you
go.
tweeting about Travis Kelce, so I was interested in that. Like, you know, he's playing on the big day.
Yeah, I'm
Are
pretty
you a
sure we.
Swiftie?
I am a Swiftie. Yeah, we
Oh,
we
there it
played
is.
Colorado, right? Yeah, we played Colorado that day.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
those are my Super Bowl plans. But yeah,
When your
maybe
dad played, did you
Taylor
go?
Swift pregame. So that, yeah, I was at the Super Bowl.
What do you remember about that?
Who performed that year? Ooh,
Is it
Probably.
the Rolling Stones? I think. The
oh,
Rolling Stones.
okay.
That's
I
fine.
don't know.
I mean, that's pretty cool for like everybody 20 years older than us. But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't remember the like actual game, but I do remember going on the field after and like the confetti and there's a lot of pictures of us like on the field after and I like have glimpses of that. But I don't really have any memories of like watching football. I don't think I was just in the stands like probably eating something. Like I don't know. I was young, but yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. You guys have had a great year. This was great. I hope we get to do it again sometime before for Vegas or hopefully before Cleveland. So Talia, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.